Hello, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. No, how are you guys doing today? It's another episode of TNT Knows It All Sports. One of your hosts, Ty, along with my man over there, Mr. Buffalo Bills hat himself. What's up, man?
What's up? Happy Cinco de Mayo, right?
That's right.
Everybody out there, eat your nachos and drink your tequila.
That's right. It's also a
That's
shout out
what's up.
to my dad. It's his birthday on May 5th.
Okay.
So we're recording for him today.
Happy birthday, Pops.
Yep. All right. We have nice fact show for you today. Couple things we're going to talk about. One, we'll talk about the NFL draft. It's finally over. We were previewing it, and we'll see, you know, TNT Thomas and my thoughts on the draft results. And we'll also talk about these NBA playoffs. I'm hoping you guys have been watching. I think you have been. I mean, for some, there's really not that much other sports. It's been exciting. Some upsets. So we'll talk about that and also some second round playoffs that are going on right now. As you can see, I'm in full New York Knicks gear. We are in the second round. We here, we here, we here. All right, sorry. And
Mhm.
then we'll finish with some final thoughts. All right. So first, we'll start off with the NFL draft. NFL draft was last Thursday, first round through the Saturday. Lots of trades, some different people were making, some people were picked in places that we didn't think. But the first couple drafts, places were what we thought they were going to be. A couple folks dropped. There's a lot of things to discuss. I'll let Thomas go first on his thoughts on the draft, and then I'll chime in. So, what's your thoughts, Thomas?
Okay, before we start, I always like to do some fun facts. So here's some fun facts.
Mm,
Alabama finally got a quarterback taken for the first pick. Never has happened in their history. So
mm,
good job for Bryce because we didn't know it was Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. You said Bryce
mm,
Young.
mm,
I was leaning more towards CJ Stroud,
mm.
you know. Two running backs were picked before wide receiver, first time since 2010,
Wow,
which is interesting. I'll be talking about the wide receivers in a second.
mm,
And a historical run on wide receivers, first time, which I had to look this up because they talked about it in the draft. Four wide receivers got picked in a row, four in a row, which I never knew.
mm. That's right,
And
right.
yep. And another fun fact, I was talking about tight ends. First time six tight ends got drafted the first two rounds since 2013. Two of the tight ends were, well, first it was Tyler Eifert, right? He was the first pick by the Bengals. But the next two picks were, you know who they were, Ty? Zach Ertz and Travis Kelce,
Wow.
which there's a certain player that looks like him. Might be on this team.
Yeah.
And then the last fun fact before I get into the draft is I'm sorry, the third time in history that three quarterbacks got picked in the top
Top
four.
five.
First time it was 1991. I'm sorry, 1971 with Archie Manning, Jim Puckett with the first pick, and Archie Manning. And the third one was like Daniel Piskowski. I don't know. He was a
Mm,
quarterback slash punter for the Houston Oilers at the time. And then 1999, the famous one, everyone remembers Tim Couch, Donovan McNabb, and Achilles Smith. And in 2021
mm,
was Sunshine himself, Trevor Lawrence, right? We call him
mm-hmm.
Sunshine from Remember the Titans. If you ever seen that, he looks like Sunshine, the quarterback.
Yep,
Zach Wilson and Trey Lance. So
that's right.
interesting. So basically, what we learned from all those drafts, there's going to be some bust. Trey Lance is Zach Wilson's a bust. I mean, something happens. I don't know, but
Mm,
and then Lance, who knows? But he's not looking that good.
yeah.
So some fun facts. But before we start, I do want to talk about. We did talk about tight ends, right? The
Yeah, we
tight
did.
ends.
Yeah, we did. And both
Nine tight ends got picked in the
and
first
both
three
and
rounds.
both of our teams got tight ends in the first two rounds, so
True,
we
true.
both had the need. And I'll just gonna say
Real,
before you say something, I'm a little mad at Buffalo because they traded up over us to get
mm-hmm.
their tight end. And so we didn't get the tight end in the first round, and I think
Yeah,
that's because of what Buffalo did
yeah.
specifically. But go ahead.
Yeah. So before I talk about the Bills, I do want to give a couple of because there's so much you can. I mean, I don't want to
Yeah,
blow the ocean on NFL draft,
yeah,
but um, we did talk about this, guys. What this is why I love this podcast we're doing because it's on tape. Okay, it's
yep,
not in these chat rooms. It's not in conversations on the
yep.
side. It's not so a lot of my friends are like, "Oh, Thomas, you said I told you so." Well, I told you about tight ends, right? The
Yep.
NFL is moving towards that. 9, the most ever picked in the first three rounds. 9
Mhm.
of them, right?
Mhm.
Several teams picked. Oh, actually, one team, but several teams are going to get 2 tight ends. But the Packers picked 2 in the first 3 rounds. I mean, it's
Mhm.
so it's much
Yeah.
needed. Before I go into the draft about the Bills, I do want to give what I call who did well, 2 teams, and who did poor. 2
Okay.
teams that did well. Number one,
The Eagles.
I don't want to talk about the Eagles because
It's
that's
clear.
just,
That's a
or actually, I
given.
don't want to talk about the Philadelphia Bulldogs. But but that was clear. They did a great job. I mean,
Yeah,
they
I
have
know.
probably the best GM in an NFL, in NFL. I know you guys who are NFC East fans are, a little
Yeah,
stabbing heart because that D line is going to be
it's a wrap.
oof.
That's
Yeah.
gonna be a wrap for us this year.
Yeah.
That's all right.
But
Oh,
yeah, so we won't talk about the Eagles because that was a given. But I do want to talk about the Steelers. I think the
mm-hmm.
Steelers had the best draft. To me personally, they had the best
Mm-hmm.
draft because it needs. They got Broderick Jones, Porter, Darnell Washington dropped because of all of a sudden this knee injury that no one knew about. So he dropped. I was kept on seeing why this guy's getting dropped. I mean, Strange got picked from Penn State over him. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, what is going on here? So Crawford got picked. So something with his knee, but that's a steal. And then they picked Kayun, I think Bennett's last name, but he's a D tackle for Wisconsin. That's to me the best pick out of all 4 of them. Because
Okay.
one
Keanu
thing about
Benton.
Steeler, yeah,
Keanu.
Keon Benton, yep,
Yeah.
yep, Benton. That's a bit to me is the best pick because one thing about if you guys know about the Pittsburgh Steelers,
Mm.
they're the old school. They've been running the same defense as Chuck Noll, 3-4 with the big uglies up front, right? So going back in the day where now they have obviously Haywood, right? Hayward, I'm sorry, Hayward,
Mm-hmm.
and so they need a
Mm-hmm.
replacement for
Mm-hmm.
him. And so I actually wanted the Bills to get him second round, but it is what it is. But I'll give them the draft grade. And then the Packers, I think the Packers did well. I have a friend who's a Packer fan. He was not fan of the first pick. But
Yeah.
the guy, yeah, so
Van Ness, Lucas
Van
Van
Ness,
Ness.
yes, yeah, Lucas Van Ness. I was gonna call him Prep Boy. He looks like
He
he went to
does.
Bel Air High.
Yeah.
But I he he was
He's a
a
good player.
he was a part-time player with double-digit stacks. I
I
mean, he
know.
he
I
played
know.
50% of snaps, and he got so he's a good player.
Yeah.
I actually like him. I like what they did. I like what they did in the draft. I won't get into more detail on that, but the pack because I don't
Well,
want to talk about the
you,
Packers.
well, you know, also I'll back up on it. You know, your boy that you mentioned, the tight end,
Luke
who's your favorite?
Musgrave.
Yeah, yep. So I knew that you would like
Yeah.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it. So Luke Musgrave, right?
Hmm.
He didn't play that much. I think
He's the
to
truth.
me,
Yeah.
you talk about remember 2013 draft, the
Hmm.
Zach Ertz and Travis Kelsey. He reminds me of Zach Ertz. I mean, that's just
Hmm.
so he can't block that well, but whatever. He's still in our league. You don't really need to block pass. He's a pass catching tight end. So I'll give them the grade. Certainly. Now, who surprised me, who didn't do well, is the Lions. Okay, we all are passionate about the Lions because we
Hmm.
actually want to see the bad teams do well. But Jalen Carter was available, and you traded down. Okay, you got more picks. You got Sam Laporta, right? You're one of the tight ends that we like in the second round with that pick. But yeah, pick a running back, right? That's not named Robinson. I like Jameer Garris, but that just to me that was a reach. Then what even made it a reach is that you picked the old school linebacker Campbell, which probably could have gotten a second round.
Yep.
It just there was they didn't pick. They had Gonzalez available. They could have picked. Two. I mean, I get the reason why they dropped down from what I read is that Seattle kind of messed them up because they picked Witherspoon at the
Yeah.
fifth pick, and
Yeah.
that's who they wanted. That's what they wanted.
Yeah.
Christian Gonzalez more. They're not. A lot of people are. That's why he dropped in the draft. They don't know where to put him. Slot outside. Can he keep up with fast receivers. It just, there's a lot of
Yeah.
well, the Patriots got him, so Bill Belichick will probably make him good. But I was confused on the Lions.
Hmm.
But those are the draft grades overall. But I will talk about the Bills. I'll tell you right now,
Yeah.
guys.
Well, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna
No, go
say,
ahead.
I mean, for non our teams, other teams,
Yeah.
I want to do the same thing, similar. I liked Baltimore's draft actually. Thought they did a pretty good job with the limited draft picks they had. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, yeah. Zay
Zay
Flowers.
Flowers, but I like Trenton Simpson too.
I
Um,
don't. But
you
that's
know,
just me.
because I think they got, they need, and Robinson, they got the speed guy, and I mean Simpson is another fast. He's not
Yeah.
huge, but again, they get more speed, and I know they got Roquan, but you can never have the most depth
And
because
Patrick Queen.
yeah, but don't forget the Ravens, and they're you, and this is why they did it. It's why I like it. They get injured all the time because you got those little fast guys at linebacker.
Right,
Those guys
true.
get hurt, and so what happens when they
And
get
it,
hurt? Then they play me and you at inside linebacker and get eaten alive, and then they
yeah.
miss the playoffs. Like so,
And
so that's
and
so
he
I
got
kind
in
of
the
like.
third round too.
Yeah,
So
exactly. You got him in the third round.
yeah.
I think he was gonna do go better. And also, I mean, it doesn't mean they're gonna be good. I think they're probably gonna still be in for the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. But I did like what Arizona did. Um, I mean,
Yeah.
they're not going to be good. So get as many picks as you can. I like they got a good left tackle. I mean, Paris Johnson, maybe he could have went lower, but you got so many
Yeah.
draft picks and you got another first round pick next year too for that pick. I like Aloju. I like, of course, Garrett Williams from Syracuse.
Oh
I
yeah,
thought he
yeah.
was pretty good. He's underrated personally.
I was
Um,
surprised he dropped that. Honestly,
yeah,
yeah.
third round. So I thought they did. I thought I
I
was.
mean, you could, yeah, the B players. I mean, the
Yeah,
Texans. I don't. I like the players, but I don't like what they did in the draft personally.
yeah. I
They
think
were
they
drafting
gave a
like they
lot.
were drafting. Yeah, they were drafting like they were one person away from a Super Bowl win, right?
Yeah, I didn't get
But
some of it. I mean, yeah, I don't get it
because you think
either.
about it, they could have stayed and
Hmm.
they could have probably drafted Dalton Kincaid because they need tight end. They didn't even draft the tight end. They got Brevin Jordan from Miami last year, but
Yeah,
quarterbacks usually need a tight end. But
yeah.
I actually like what Carolina did too on the low,
Okay.
like with Mango and Bryce Young. I mean, so
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, those are the ones, and then the
yeah.
ones the ones I didn't like. You said the one the lines. I don't know what they're doing. Did kind of. I did like. Sorry, I did like Minnesota's pick, even though I think they need some help. The
Wide receiver. Ooh,
Yeah, the Jets. I so it's weird. Like we're gonna because we'll talk about the Jets later. I still don't understand why they don't realize that they need to get tackles. Like, what are you doing? Getting outside linebacker. Okay, Will McDonald's not a bad player, but then you were like, okay, I'll get a lineman. I'm gonna get a center. Did you just get Connor McGovern? Like, did they just sign?
no,
Or not Connor, I mean,
he
what's
was
his name?
last.
Yeah, whatever his name
Oh,
is. The Jets didn't they
oh
just
yeah,
get
yeah.
a center?
I know what you're talking. I forgot his name, but yes, they
Yeah,
got a center,
yeah,
but
like
he can play
just
guard.
okay.
They got
So right, yeah, I know,
like a
right,
guard.
exactly. So instead of drafting a guard, you're gonna get a center. Hopefully, that turns into a guard.
Yeah.
I'm like, they don't learn. So, well, that's on them. I was watching the draft. I'm like, well, it's on them.
Yeah,
Don't do what
yeah,
you need
but
to
because
do to protect your quarterback that you just traded all those picks for.
Mekhi Beckman hasn't been healthy in 2 years. I don't know if they're throwing the dice on him. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's going to be healthy.
Yeah,
I, I mean, the Giants also didn't do bad. I just think
I thought the
that
Giants did it. Yeah, I
why
know.
they drafted, yeah, but I just don't understand why they drafted. I get why they traded up for, I would say a cornerback, but I would have traded down continue wide receivers. I
Well,
mean,
Jalen
but
Hyatt,
that,
I like Jalen Hyatt. I think that's a steal. I
yeah,
at the third round, like I don't think well, maybe we were gonna talk about the receivers. I didn't think the receivers were that great. So that's interesting. The stat that you said,
yeah,
I agree with it actually. Like I wouldn't have drafted a receiver in the top 15.
right,
So
right.
so when they dropped to 20, I was like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Jalen Hyatt is a notch below those guys, but barely. Like I would, he's just I
He's
would
out.
with Yeah,
He's a
they need.
wide, wide,
Yeah, they
wide guy.
need that. Think about it. Who do they have?
Who's on him the ball down? Daniel Jones don't throw the ball past 15 yards. He's
Of
Dak
course,
Prescott.
of course he
So,
doesn't.
so
But he's throwing the ball to, Slayton and like me out there. And who's the other? Who's the guy?
oh, Hodges,
Hodges,
Isaac, what
Isaiah
is
Hodges. He
it?
made Isaiah Hodges was looking like Randy Moss out there because he was the only person that was tall that could
True,
catch the ball. So now they actually have someone that can actually go downfield. So
a
I
vertical
like it.
threat.
Yes,
Yeah,
I like it. And now they,
yeah, I
they can
do
extend it.
too, but I don't like Daniel Jones trying to throw the vertical threat. That's the problem. I
Yeah,
get what you're
yeah,
because you know what I mean.
yeah.
Daniel Jones, I forgot the stat, but he's like he didn't throw the ball that much past 15 yards.
No, he
But
didn't.
yeah, I hear you.
No, they
I
didn't.
mean,
But I wouldn't. I
I
wouldn't
thought they
either.
were, yeah, I thought they were gonna get Dalton Kincaid, honestly, when they traded up. When they were
Yeah,
trading up, I was like, okay, get Daniel Jones a safety,
yeah,
blanket.
yeah.
But Banks is nasty. But by
He's
the way,
nasty.
he just remember that name, right? He's
Yeah.
good.
I actually think he probably might be the best of all those guys. Personally, I
Over
like
Weatherspoon?
I like Weatherspoon, but I would not be surprised if Banks becomes the
Yeah.
best. So
And who would have known? Speaking about Weatherspoon, who would have known that Alabama? I'm sorry, not Alabama and Illinois would have as many D backs drafted. You know what I'm saying? Like
I know,
Illinois and Alabama.
I
It was
know.
like the first 3 rounds, whatever it was, with the brothers. But yeah, I mean, that's true. And then you know who else I really didn't think did well in the draft?
Hmm.
I just Miami. Why are you drafting speed again? I don't
Yeah.
understand your draft. You draft a cornerback. Why did you draft a cornerback, Cam Smith, when you already have 3 of them, right? I mean, I've already you got cornerbacks,
Mhm.
and then you draft another fast running back. Like you got this ain't the CFL where you can start running. You can
Right.
start your head start in the back. Come on, man. I don't.
Yeah. Well,
So so
Byron Jones was retiring.
yeah.
So I think maybe that's why they're like, all right, we need depth.
Well,
But I mean,
they got the guy from last year. What's the
yeah, I
name?
know. I can't remember. I know what you're talking
Kalu
about.
or Kiyu, whatever his name is. But
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but how I drawn a blank. But yeah, yeah, yes. But depth, especially, now you got all those people. But anyway, go ahead with the Bills. Sorry. So what do you think of the Bills
no,
really
no, no.
quick?
It's good that it was good that we had to talk about it. So with the Bills,
That's hear me right.
Yeah, it was going. I can
Okay.
hear you better now.
Yeah, so technical difficulties, guys. Internet that's raining. That's what happens sometimes. Welcome to Houston. But so with the Bills, I just want to, for the Bills fans. So Brandon Bean, you heard me. I was going to lose my shit if they drafted a defensive player in the first 2 rounds. We'll talk about the third round, but Dalton, the reason why we talked you're hyped about Dalton Kincaid. You talked
Hmm.
about him.
Hmm.
Honestly, I was surprised he didn't come out last year. A lot of people were surprised. He could have been a first 2 round, second round pick, probably not first, but second round pick last year.
Hmm.
All you had to do is watch the USC game. 18 targets, 18 catches. The dude caught every ball that was thrown to him. Has great hands,
Hmm.
and he's pretty good. I just was super surprised he dropped. I
I
mean,
can't believe it either.
I kept when you know how if you're watching, I was watching ESPN. I'll go back and forth ESPN NFL Network. It says best available. It looked like his name was best available for like 10 picks, right?
I know.
So as a Bills fan, I was like, well, we need a wide receiver. And when I saw no one was getting picked the first 19 picks, and it was Seattle 20, I was like, well, I was doing the math. Okay, I had my board up. Like, there's 4 receivers available. Dalton Kincaid. I was like, okay, that means 7 picks. Unless somebody trades up, the Bills will get it. Then all of a sudden, it was everyone losing their
Yeah,
mind wide receivers.
wide receivers. Yep.
It was why did Seattle pick one when they already have 3? But whatever.
Mhm.
They have. I mean, I'm still confused why Seattle picked when they need a D line badly. But whatever.
Yeah.
They picked Smith. Then the next pick, I'm like, okay, it was Baltimore, right? It was no, not Baltimore. It was I'm sorry, it was the Chargers.
Yeah.
So
Quentin Johnson.
and
Quentin
then
Johnson. Yeah.
another tall wide receiver good pick, but they already have Palmer, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. It's just they're picking the same wide receiver. I don't know if Brandon
Yeah.
Strogley is like that's his thing. Maybe Kalen Moore like wants that kind of that kind of player, whatever it is. Then Zay
Hmm.
Jones, which I was
Yeah.
sorry, Zay Flowers. I was not surprised. Great pick by Baltimore. You paying a quarterback all that money, 185 million guarantee. Get him a slot guy, get him somebody who gets open. Then what threw me out, I was like, okay, the Bills going to get Jordan Addison. Like, I was like, they're going to get him probably, or Dallas. I'm not Dallas. The Giants. Then the Minnesota picked him when Minnesota is one of the worst secondaries in the NFL. I don't even understand why didn't they pick the Bates. And then Dalton Kincaid came, and I was surprised. Not only made it better that they had Osiris Torrance in the second round. And I hate NFL scouts. I really do, especially with O linemen. Do you know why he dropped in the draft? Because I had to look at it. I was like, why did he drop?
Yeah.
He's flat foot.
Yeah.
Flat foot. The man's 335 pounds
Yeah, like,
and
what do you think?
literally can move a boom. They're like, he's flat foot. That's why he dropped. He's not nimble on his feet.
Like,
These scouts just crack
I know. I know.
So
Because
they got
I
him.
think he's gonna be good too. I do. You watch him.
Oh yeah.
He can play.
Once he puts your hands on you, he reminds me of another person that dropped in the draft, Smith for Kansas City Chiefs, right? Tyler Smith. Dropped from the Chiefs, and because he was a 6th round pick because he's flat-footed, which I'm still trying to confuse what that even means as O-line. Aren't you supposed to be on your like as inside guard, a little flat-footed, grab the guy so you can have some base and make sure he's not moving around. But anyways, and then I was like, oh, Bean got it. Then Brandon Bean decided to be Brandon Bean. Let's take another linebacker in the 3rd round. Right, I like Williams. I mean, he was actually somebody got buzzed, in the combine. But there were wide receivers available. One in particular named Willis from Cincinnati, 5'10", 180-pound speed guy. Runs a wide, can be deep. Don't draft him. There's a few other wide receivers that could have been available, but you decided to get a weak side linebacker again. And then they traded a lot of picks. Hopefully that's used for Denard. For D Hop, and then they got Shorter, who's supposed, he was a number 1 wide receiver prospect in that same. So we'll see what happens with those Bills, right?
Yeah.
But I do like their last pick, the cornerback Alex Austin. He's supposed to be a 4th round grade, but again, NFL short arms. I love these wide people drop because his arms are 3 inches short. 3 inches. Okay.
Like whatever happened to tape? Like whatever happened to watching people play football?
Right. So it was a good draft overall.
Yeah.
The Bills.
I actually think the Bills. Yeah, I thought the Bills did pretty decent. I'm not high. I'm not saying I'm high on Williams, but I think he's gonna play. Like he's gonna like maybe start. So. That you get him a 3rd round, you get a start. I mean, it's possible he's competing for a starting job at 3rd round. That's not terrible. That's what I've been reading. They're like, hey, they've drafted him because they want him to play now. I'm like, what? I don't see it. I mean, but they maybe they know something we don't, and so.
No, well, he hasn't hit on. I mean, before you go,
right.
I mean, 3rd round picks: Devin Singletary, okay, Zach Moss. I mean, he just Spencer Brown and Knox is the only one. But I'll let you go. He just pisses me off. Pick offense. I love God. You almost got it right. He actually picked the offense 4 out of 6 picks. So
yeah. All right. So really quick, Cowboys. So people were calling me and asking me what I thought of the draft. I think we got all the need positions that we did. I'm a value person, so I want us to get the players at the value of the spot that we have. So Mazzie Smith, I'm happy we got him. We need that position as a defensive tackle. If anyone that's known me knows I talk about Dallas and defensive tackle. We needed defensive tackles since like 2009. I mean, that's how long. Can I get the defensive tackle position? I don't care what era has been correct. And so we need somebody there to help stop the run. We stink. We got a bunch of fast, light guys, and our D tackles get mauled. And so they run on the inside and we can't do anything. So he's the opposite of that. You're not moving him. So I'm happy that we got him, but he was projected to go in the 2nd round to us. So getting him in the 1st round when we know we need a tight end, and Dalton Kincaid was gone, but Michael Mayer was there. So I feel a certain way because I thought we could have got Michael Mayer, and I know we're gonna need a tight end, and we didn't get it. So I'm happy, not mad at the pick, but maybe we could have waited. But we definitely needed him. Then we ended up getting our tight end next, which was Luke Schoonmaker, and I seen him. He could play, but he's got like 35 catches. They didn't pass to him too often, but he's a physical guy. He's gonna fit perfectly. And I said this before, and why I wasn't sure, even though these mock people were saying Dallas is definitely getting a tight end. I was like, I think getting Schoonmaker in the second round doesn't mean he's gonna be a starter. It means it also confirms to me why I think they like Jake Ferguson from last year. They really like him. And so I think Jake Ferguson's going to get a lot of playing time. Schoonmaker's going to come in. He's going to be the second guy, like Ferguson was the second guy last year.
Yeah.
Um, I think Overshown, I like him an inside linebacker, got some speed. Um, I love what's the name?
I actually like that. That's my favorite
Yeah,
pick for the Cowboys.
I
I
love
will
that.
watch that name, man. But
Yeah,
that's who I hope the Bills are going to get. But yeah,
it's interesting because trying to figure out what that means for our defense though, because we just got Vander S. We just re-signed him. Of course, we've got I think Overshown is another piece. So we could put when Parsons is rushing, maybe put Overshown in or like some that
and he can cover. He's a
yeah,
better cover linebacker.
yeah. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they use him, but he is an athlete, which is gonna be great. I
Yeah.
mean, an extreme athlete. Um, and closes well in terms of run defense, which again we need help with. Um, I love Deuce Vaughn in the sixth round. I'm not skipping over, our D tack at the end from San Jose State. We got Asim Richards, the offensive tackle from North Carolina, who I think is legit um, role guy in our offensive line because he was like a 3-year starter. Um, the Deuce Vaughn. I've been talking about Deuce Vaughn during the season, like early in the college season. I was like, man, I hope Dallas gets this guy. One, he's a scout's son. And so
Mhm.
if you seen the video on it, it was really touching. The scout was crying because his son got drafted. Um, but then also he's 5'9" and he's so small, he's small, but he plays physical. He's fast, he's quick, and he's physical. So I actually like him paired with Pollard. He's gonna get a lot of playing time. And so Pollard comes out, you're gonna put this guy in, you're like, oh, we got the 6th round running back, and he's gonna destroy people. So I'm
Darren
excited.
Sproles
Yep.
kind of
Darren
reminds me of.
Sproles. Yep. Taller. He's taller, but he's got that same physical running because he's actually way more physical than I think people realize. He's
Yeah,
gonna run through you. So I'm excited
yeah,
about that. And Jalen Brooks, I, I will see how that works in wide receiver. Our wide receiver room is still not defined yet. So I think
yeah.
I actually think he- he's more of a physical guy. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, overall, I thought Dallas did well. I think I saw grades. They got like a B plus B. I think that's right. Like they didn't overreach, maybe besides Mazzy Smith, but everything else after him, and they know they needed
Yeah.
that need. Everything after him was spot on, I thought. So, all
Yeah,
right.
it
Yeah, it was good. So I mean,
interesting.
overall, the draft was cool. Like nothing crazy besides, again,
Let
we didn't talk about the Eagles. I just
well,
hate that the Eagles did
the,
what they did. It just really annoys me.
yeah.
And
Let
so,
me end on one thing because I love doing this.
mhm.
How bad are the Patriots? They pick punters and kickers, bro. I don't get it, but we'll move on.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
we both
I
love
just
that.
don't get the I don't get the Patriots draft. They
I
draft
don't.
kickers and punters. I don't, but we'll move on.
I
So
don't know. You got a place kicker in the 4th round. I don't. I don't.
and a
I don't
punter in the sixth, bro.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't know. But hey, at least you know what? The only thing I'll give shout out to the Patriots for drafting the guy from Jackson State. So hey, you got HBCU guy in
No,
there.
only one.
Yeah, only
Only
one.
one.
So I can't hate them. I was like, I laugh at them, but at least they drafted somebody from HBCU. So good for them. All right. So I left with that. So now we were going to talk about the NBA playoffs. So last time we talked, there was some series that were done, some series that were about to be done. So right now we've got a lot of game threes that are coming on tonight. So I think all the series have played game 1 and 2 in the conference semifinals. So the first series we want to talk about is the Nuggets and the Suns. That is 2-0 Nuggets. They're the 1 seed, and the Suns are the 4 seed. So,
I hope they get swept. I
yeah,
really do.
I know it's sad because I think the Suns. We talked about because that matchup was last week when we talked. That matchup was already set,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
and
was.
so I thought the keys. There's two keys. It was Michael Porter Jr. and you saw game 1, he destroyed them. That's why there was a blowout, and Chris Paul. And those are the factors. And now you see Chris Paul's hurt because Chris Paul was when he was healthy. Game 2, they were winning by 6. He got hurt and they fell apart. So, in my opinion, the Suns are done. Now they might, like I said, Thomas didn't get swept. I wouldn't be surprised if they get swept. I think for some reason, like the NBA is going to figure out a way for them to win a game because NBA. I mean, I love the NBA, but I wouldn't put it past them. So they're like, look, like
But I hope they're good.
they're like, who the Nuggets, the ref that hates the Nuggets the most, it's that guy, right? You're going to be doing game 3 so that people can want to see KD and Booker play another game. So, but anyway, go ahead. Yeah, anything you want to say about this series, really?
Well, first, Denver is finally winning. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Denver was like the damn well, Milwaukee's like the Packers this part. But before but because I would say they just lost the first round, high expectation, but they're winning. But the problem with the Suns is this is where teams I really hate when teams do these major trades in the middle of the season because you
Mm-hmm.
give up your bench. You give players up that you need. And how many times people are gonna learn that you need a bench in the playoffs? I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
perfect example is the Sixers when Embiid was out. You know, the bench is helping out,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Because Harden went off and Maxey went off, but your bench helped out. I don't even know who the hell these players. I mean, the Sun got the most washed up bench. I thought I was watching a damn a Chinese basketball team, bro. Like, who are these players on the bench, right? Now you need Payne to be their starting a point guard. I mean, it's over for them. KD, you can score 50 points. I don't see it happening, but hopefully
Yeah.
they'll learn. And it's funny because the Suns are now, I feel, are getting worse. They went from almost winning a championship 2 years ago to now putting all their money into Chris Paul, KD, Booker, and then
Aiden.
a day in. Yeah, so 8 in. So you got a lot of money locked in.
Mm-hmm.
That is just you're going backwards. But I
Yeah.
love it because my wife is a Suns fan. Well, she's a Celtics fan and a Suns. I don't understand it, but I love the Suns are terrible. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I
eh,
mean,
eh,
and look, I mean, can I just say this? I know I'm not.
hmm.
I've said this before, and I'm not knocking him. And I know we all watch him. He's a great player. But can we like start talking about Kevin Durant really like in the right sense? Like his talent, everyone knows he's top 10 talent of all time, probably top 20. No, arguably top 15, right? He's not top 15 player. Just gonna
Ever
say
you
it,
talking about ever?
ever. I'm like I can't do this because
Ooh.
consistently I'm looking at his stuff. Like why Devin Booker is a great player. He's not better than
Right.
Kevin Durant. Do we agree with that? Is that
Yeah.
does anybody in life? But clearly, watching this series, Devin Booker is better than Kevin Durant.
Well, Kevin Durant, I mean, his last game, he shot 2 for 12 for damn threes. I was like, what are you doing? My man was
You're
just,
Kevin Durant, dude. Like, what are you doing? And this is not
yeah.
the first game. It's not game 1. He played okay. Game 2, terrible. Last series, if Devin Booker doesn't go for 40 some points every game against the Clippers, because it was Devin Booker. So I need Kevin Durant. I understand it's not your team. This is playoffs. You're Kevin Durant. Get the ball. They're putting like Aaron Gordon on you, 1-on-1. They're
Mm-hmm.
not double teaming, and you can't score an Aaron
Mm-hmm.
Gordon. Okay, that's fine. If Aaron Gordon now is the Kevin Durant stopper, cool. But
Yeah.
I don't want to hear anything about Kevin Durant being you put Kevin Durant on your team, you're obviously going to win a championship because I think that is not true. It's not true.
Well, I haven't been a Kevin Durant fan for a while because I don't like sellouts. So you lost to a team, then you got traded to him and win. He needs people around him. Kevin
Yeah.
Durant is coming like, and I hate to say it, is he becoming Carmelo? Like just a great
Oof.
player when scoring, but can't do anything else. I don't know.
See,
I mean, Carmelo's,
that's
basically
tough.
the
That's interesting because I, I actually, and it's because I don't hate. Again, I'm not saying this about Kevin Durant because I don't like him. I actually do like his game. I do like his game. I think he is great. I just can't stick up for him and watch him. I bet tonight he better score 35 points tonight. He better. That's all I'm saying. Drop 35 or 20 like Steph did yesterday. 20 and 12 assists. I need you to make plays. You need to be aggressive. If they're doubling you, make the right play. You're the best player on the court. Be the best player on the court. You can't be the third best player on the court. You can't have Jamal Murray being better than you on the other side. I mean, come on
well,
now.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
what are we talking about here? You know?
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation. We should have one
Yes.
day, but
Yeah.
and maybe invite some guests that
Yeah. Well,
talk a lot. You know who I'm talking about. Y'all be behind the scenes in chat rooms. Let's
yeah.
bring it. Let's bring it to the
Bring it
let's
to
bring it to the podcast
bring you
and
to the
let's talk.
light. Come to the light. No.
Yeah, yeah, come to land because everybody talk about Kevin Durant, but I mean, we'll move on. But
Yeah.
my whole thing is Kevin Durant. He went to he went to OKC, couldn't win when he was a leader. He went to the Nets, couldn't do it. I mean, Nets was a debacle.
Mhm.
But interesting, Harden's doing well. But we'll move on. But
Yep.
you know, just maybe he's the problem. Like
I don't know.
he
Yeah.
is. But
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I again, I actually like Denver more than Phoenix, but I do want Phoenix to do well because I like Booker and I want this to be a good series. I think it should be a good series. I hate that Chris Paul got hurt.
right.
So we'll see. All right, next series we'll talk about quickly is Boston versus both games are on Friday night. Boston versus Philadelphia. So it's 1-1.
Yeah, tonight. Yeah.
Thomas just mentioned it's a couple of things I want to talk about this, but we'll recap. Harden, people again thought he doesn't know how to play basketball, and he went to the Wayback Machine, but not really way back, and scored 45 points and 6 assists or whatever in the win without Embiid in Boston game 1. And then game 2 they got annihilated, which I knew it was going to happen.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it was just demolishing of them. But two things that I want to bring up really quick with the series. One, I'm sick of the James Harden slander. I've said it before. I'm like, this guy has gotten the most criticism unjustly, in my opinion. He averaged 35 points a game in the Western Conference Finals, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, and people still say he's a bum. And then he's leads the league in assists, the entire NBA, and they're like, he doesn't know how to play basketball anymore. I was like, hold on. He leads the league in assists, and he averaged 20 points a game this year. I was
Right.
like, how is he
But
a bum?
yeah,
It's like that doesn't make
it's
any
because he's not
sense.
winning. It's because he's not winning.
Right. But again, I've always said is when has James Harden's teams and players been better than other people's teams? It's kind of
Oh
like,
no. The Rockets team was better to me
then the Golden
as a
State
team.
Warriors, then the Golden
As
State
a
Warriors,
team, they should have won as a
then
team
with
to me.
then Kevin
Uh,
Durant, Steph Curry,
I,
Klay Thompson, that team,
I,
they lost in 7.
that
It was
no, they would have.
Trevor.
They should have.
Right. It was
Yeah, they should
Trevor
have
Reeves.
won.
I know they should have won. That's the thing. That's why I don't know why everyone's killing him. They should have won. Again, Chris Paul got hurt, right? But
But as
and
a
then
team, I think they were better.
Trevor Reeves was 0 for
Like,
12 from 3-pointers in the game 7, 0 for 12.
well, I
Everybody
mean,
kills
the whole
Harden,
team was over 15.
but 0 for
But
12.
but
One guy. One
I know we
guy.
should. But
One
I'm talking
guy.
about as basketball, like, not talent wise are better, but
Yes.
as a
Okay.
team,
Thank you.
I thought they were like
Yes.
talent wise, they were. I mean, the
Right.
lights out better than them.
Okay.
But as a team, if they actually had me and you coaching, we would have won that game.
Yeah, sure.
Tony doesn't know how to coach, bro. Like I'm like, what are you
That's true.
doing? Chris
Yeah.
Paul got hurt, but yeah, but I hear you were saying, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, again, this is Harden. Harden
no.
is.
I know you're hitting.
The Rockets. The problem with the Rockets were. I'm trying to think of a good analogy or even player to compare Harden to, and there was it. I don't want to say Kobe before he got Paul Gasol, but I'm trying. I'm trying to think of like
Yeah. I
where
know.
a great player. You know what I'm saying?
Paul Pierce. But no, he's better, Paul Pierce.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
similar though. Like Paul Pierce, he was always the truth. He was the truth. That's why his nickname was the truth.
Yeah.
But he couldn't really do anything. Got to the Eastern Conference Finals once with Antoine Walker, which tells you how good he was. It was Antoine Walker and Paul Pierce. They made the Eastern Conference Finals and lost in like game
Yeah.
7 or 6 or something.
Yeah.
And So that tells you how good he was. You give him some players, then all of a sudden he's a champion. And it's not like
Yeah,
he,
it, he
so
had that one bad series. He had that one bad series, and everyone's haunting him.
yeah, that
That's
Spurs.
was
Oof.
that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That one bad series,
Yeah, it was bad.
was that his MVP year too? Was it? Or no, that wasn't his
No,
MVP. I don't
no,
think it was.
no.
No, it wasn't his MVP. That's the
Yeah,
MVP he should have won, but get a
yeah.
was it MVP year?
No, the MVP year
Okay.
was the year with Durant. That was his MVP
Oh
year,
yeah, there.
where they lost
Okay,
in game
so
seven to the team that swept the Cavs. I was like, I forget, I
it
don't
was
think
just
people realize that. That was the
they would
only
have won a
series.
championship.
That was the only series Golden State I feel like they lost a game in.
Yeah,
They
right.
swept everybody else, and then they went to seven
Ye-
because James Harden was murdering them the entire series. No one else was killing them, but he still's
oh,
above them.
I don't. Again, I don't
Yeah,
think that. I think it's great. But
I know.
again,
Yeah,
I'm going to say it again. People that are not in this room that need to come from other chat rooms need to be on here
yeah,
because we've been me and you've been talking about James Harden for I don't know how
we
long. Because
have.
as a
I know.
Rockets fan, I might have been biased, but the dude was amazing.
Yep. So
But
so anyway, I'm
but
happy.
Boston's going to
Yeah,
win.
yeah. Go ahead. You say
Boston's
what?
going to win the series.
I
No, I think
agree.
Boston's going to win the series.
I
Yeah.
think they will too, but I don't trust them. They've showed me in the last two series that remember we were talking about this. It's like Missoula is the wild card. Their problems of last year have not gone away. And I actually think when they get into those problems, it actually looks worse this year than last year. Like they turn the ball over
Mhm.
too much, they make poor decisions. They still allow Marcus Smart to be in the game. He's like, well, I'll make decisions over I'll be the point guard. And
Tatum
like,
Brown.
yep, and Tatum and
Right.
Brown are not point guards. So they should not be making decisions. That's why you have Malcolm Brogdon out there. I know he made that one play that was terrible, but honestly, it wasn't necessarily 100% his fault. If you look who he was passing the ball to in game one, it was Marcus Smart, who should have been where he passed the ball to. He cuts for no reason when there's like once what are you doing? Also, you're
Right.
supposed to
Right.
be getting to get back on defense. So he just doesn't make good decisions. He's fouling at the end, like with for no at like half court. So I I think the Celtics are better than Philadelphia. I don't
Yeah.
trust them though. I don't trust them. I actually think Philadelphia has a chance to win this series. I more now by watching the way the Celtics play. But the Celtics, if they play their game, they're the best team in the NBA, in my opinion. But
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
they don't do it consistently. So I don't trust them. I actually watching these first two rounds, I don't think Boston's gonna win this the championship now. I don't. I think they're not gonna be able to get through it. They're not gonna be able to get through this series or next series or the West where it comes out of the West. One of those teams are gonna beat them. It sounds stupid to say that, like that's like, but one of them they're gonna blow a game that they shouldn't
Right.
blow, and they're not gonna win.
Well,
Last thing I'm gonna say really quick is um, glad that we have this chat is Embiid. Remember somebody here was
mhm.
calling him MVP, and I'm very happy that he got it. He's MVP. I got a couple of members saying that. People were like, no, Jokic. I got some stuff about
Oh,
Giannis, and not you. I'm just saying I got notes from
oh,
people
yeah. No,
that
no, I
watched the
know.
podcast, and they were sending stuff to me. And now you see, everyone gets to see Embiid's MVP, and he deserves it. And if you haven't heard about his story, it's amazing. The guy didn't play basketball till he was 16 years old, and he,
Like,
yep,
like
and
my favorite player,
yeah,
the
and
Dream.
he's just so much better than everybody out there. I mean, literally, I think of any player that's out there when you talk about dominating, that guy dominates. You have to
If he can,
adjust. You
yeah,
have to
if he
adjust
can stay
everything.
healthy,
Yeah, yeah,
if he can stay healthy, I mean, the Sixers probably could win a few rings. The problem is his health. Is
yeah. And they
that's
still
his
need.
only weakness.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they still need some help. I still feel like the Phillies roster good, but they still need a couple things. I feel like they still need, but
yeah,
um,
and Tobias Harris is the most frustrating player to watch, but
no,
talented, but sometimes,
yes, I know,
I'm
I know.
like, what are you doing, bro?
All right, so the next series we'll talk about is Golden State Lakers. So Golden State, we were watching it. They won Game 5 in Sacramento. We were watching the game, and it was like I remember I was like I said it. I said series not actually over yet, even though they had won Game 5 in Sacramento. Sacramento went into Game 6 and won in Golden State, and then came home and got curried. Another
Right.
other way to put it. I mean, he destroyed them. I think, that's why. Remember when we did our predictions and I picked Golden State in 7? Is exactly what I thought would happen. I was like, the Sacramento, I think, is better than them. However, when it gets to game 7, it's going to be too much for Sacramento, and they folded. And
Yeah.
so,
Well, Mike
yeah,
Brown folded. I had
yeah,
hope, and I thought
it was,
I mean, they
yeah,
lost because of coaching, man. I mean, this
yeah,
is. I mean, again, people. Again, I'm going to say it again. People were arguing about this, but I told them Mike Brown just didn't make the right decisions.
yeah,
When a coach, you got to sub people, and another person too. Sabonis, I just feel like he was a little lost in the series. They didn't use him right.
no, no,
And so, but De'Aaron Fox showed everybody who he is. So
yeah, yeah,
hopefully, get rid of Harrison Barnes. He pissed me off. Get rid of him. Get rid of his contract. To get somebody else in. And
yeah,
then, but why are they using? You win. I don't want to talk about too much, but what pisses me off, we talked about in the beginning. We said Mitchell needs to be in the
yes,
game more. I talked about that. I said Mitchell was like, where was he the last 2 games, or like game
I don't
5 and
know,
game 7? Game
I don't
6, he
know,
played a little bit, but like,
I don't
what
know,
are we doing?
I don't
But
understand it.
anyways,
I don't understand that either. So,
coaching again.
yeah, so Golden State Lakers. So interestingly enough, I said this before the thing. I said whoever wins the Golden State Sacramento series is going to go to the Western Conference Finals. Remember, I said that. I
Mhm.
thought the Lakers were going to win. They did win. I watched game 1 and it was crazy how the Lakers played. I mean, they dominated inside. Game 2, it was almost a lock of the of my lifetime. I put a little change on that game 2. It was like it's guaranteed Golden State's going to win by a lot, and they did. So it's 1-1. I think Golden State's going to win the series. I do think it's going to be a long series, though. And the only reason why I think Golden State's going to win the series is because I don't trust Anthony Davis to have four good games enough for them to get 4 wins. Because he's unstoppable. They can't stop him. But just like game 2, he's not gonna show up. He'll show up game 3, he won't show up game 4. Game 5, he'll probably show up halfway, and they'll probably lose. Then they'll lose games. Like you can't trust him, and he's the best. To me, he's the only player. I know Steph Curry is great, but I don't expect him to have these 50-point games because the way the Lakers are playing him. AD is the only guy on this series that is really unstoppable. They can't have
Or
no answer for
unguardable.
him. Yeah, you
Yeah.
cannot stop. Golden State does not have an answer. Other teams do. Like if they were to play Denver, it would be different. They actually have people that they could put on him. But they have no answer for him. And so he has to dominate. And I don't think he will. So,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on
I
this
think it's going to
series?
be. I mean, I hate to say, it, but Golden State 4-2. But I'm going to say this, and I don't really care. I don't give a damn how old LeBron is. Okay, I don't really. I don't. I really got. I might not pull a Dylan Brooks out here, but yeah. But my thing is, a lot of the LeBron people, right? You've been hyping him up, getting all his help. This is what we call defining legacy. I get
Yeah.
your but this is defining legacy. If LeBron does his thing in the series and wins, you
Mhm.
add an option to your legacy because right now, Steph Curry is 35, adding more, and they win again. My God, I mean, you got to talk. He's already top 10 player,
Yeah.
but if they win a ring again, he's going to be in the top 5 now. You got to put him. You got to put him. I wouldn't do it, but I'm just saying people are going to start moving him up on the list.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, no.
So,
Even though
so, but
even though I think it's team personally, but I mean, I'm not saying he's not a great
yeah,
player, but
I agree with you 100%, Ty.
hmm
Unfortunately, not everybody agrees with us.
yeah, no.
So people I got people that had him at 4. I saw somebody list. I'm like 4, okay. But it's a heat in the moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, but LeBron, like I said, LeBron, this is a time where this is where legacy. You want to be Jordan-esque, right? You want to be better than Jordan. You in a ring this year at 38?
Wow.
You got to go.
Yeah.
That's all I look. I'm just.
And I can't argue with that. I mean, if LeBron, I mean, I can't argue with the last part. I mean, the first part, I mean, LeBron's 38 years old. I can't, he's not the best player in the team. If you give what he's given them is plenty, even though I do expect him, I don't expect him to have less than what he does in the regular season. That to me would be a knock on him. Your team's at
Yeah,
this
he had one
point,
of his best seasons
right? So
this year.
you better do what you did in the regular season. Don't have a 14-point game or a 10-point game. They're like, oh, he's old. No, 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 no. No. You do what you did in the regular season, at least in the playoffs. That's expected. I don't care if you're 38 or 28. But he is old as hell, and he's not the LeBron of 28, so he's not going to carry them, but he needs to do his part. And I think, and people have been finally saying this, I think his team is good enough to do this. I said before, the key to the whole season, I didn't realize this stat is D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell, when he scores 17 points or more, they are undefeated. When he scores less
Yeah.
than 17 points, they don't win. He's the wild card because you don't know what you're going to get from that guy. If he
Right.
scores, you're not honestly if he scores because AD is supposed to play decent, LeBron will be decent, they have other guys. But if D'Angelo Russell gives you 20 points, you're not beating the Lakers. Like I don't care who.
Right.
Literally, the Lakers will win a championship if D'Angelo Russell became a 20-point a game scorer in the playoffs. You would
Yeah.
not beat the Lakers. But
Right.
he's flaky, and you don't want to rely on him. But this is an interesting series. I actually think I could see it going seven. I really can see it going seven because I think the
I
Lakers
think
match up well. I don't think
I hope the Lakers win.
I think they're both flawed teams though. They're like both flawed teams.
Right.
I didn't think who I did think who my pick for the finals was on the other side of the bracket anyway. Um,
Right.
so I don't think either one of these teams are going to beat
Yeah.
the winner of that one. So
But hold on, but before, but I am not going to give LeBron no breaks. Okay, hold on before we go. He's had the most field goal attempts. Okay, so if he's
Mm.
38 and he's supposed to be like he's supposed to be
That's
a
fair.
role player now at his age, you got to pass the ball to other people. Austin Reeves give the ball, but my man is shooting 18 shots last game, whole shots, shot 20 shots and played through shot 37%.
Mm.
So you know what I mean. So that's why I'm telling the LeBron people I don't want to hear about his age when my man shooting the most field goal attempts this series already. It's been two games,
Hmm.
but no, and I can see if a man if he's like 10 assists and got 5 shots. So like playing
Yeah.
Magic Johnson when Magic Johnson was old and not shooting the ball that much. But we'll see. But
All
we know
right.
we're going next.
I know. Yeah, and I'd
Oof.
say the best for last. Uh, the Knicks Heat. So the Heat, we watched it, the game. We were actually filming it last time, and the Heat won in Milwaukee.
It's
So
crazy.
it's just very crazy still. I mean, and because of that, Milwaukee's gonna redo that, but that might be a final thought for me. Um, so game one, the Heat won by 7 with Jimmy Butler and without Julius Randle. Then Jimmy Butler got hurt, and Julius Randle came back for game two, and the Knicks won without Jimmy Butler and with Julius Randle. So it's 1-1 heading to Miami next game. This is like one of the toughest series, not just because I'm a fan and I'm loving it. It's just these teams are so even. Like the way they play is um similar. And I wouldn't say they're even, actually. It's gonna sound like I must sound like a homer, but I do believe the Knicks are a better team in terms of talent, but the Heat are so poised, man. They don't you can't rattle them. Like they play tough. They don't make stupid mistakes. Like you got to beat them. Like they're so well coached. Like they are so well coached. They got all these undrafted players playing like, like they're all stars. Gabe Vincent out there looking like he's, I don't know, Ray Allen, hitting all these threes and stuff. It's
I,
really incredible.
I
Um,
forgot Cody Zeller was even in the league, bro, until I saw
yeah,
him play.
I know. I'm like Cody Zeller getting plenty time, Caleb Martin hitting scored
Right.
20 something points, Max Strus. I mean, Gabe Vincent, it's just, Duncan Robinson coming back from being on, from dead basically. So
Well,
they
he
they
had Tyler Heroes out, so they have to play him.
they haven't had to play him before. I have Tyler Hero on my
Right,
fantasy
right.
team, and I'm like, this dude. I was like, where is Duncan Robinson? So finally, they're playing. He. If you look, he's played what 30 games all year, and he hasn't. He's been
Yep.
healthy.
But I'm saying, well, it's because Tyler Hero's probably out. That's probably why they're playing them. You
Yeah.
think? Oh, I don't
Well, they
know.
have. They need to. They should have been playing him
Yeah.
before, and it's almost like they're like, all right, you guys have
Yeah.
been watching us play all season without him. And with him, they are a different team because you have to have somebody pressed up on them. while Tyler Hero was running around doing stuff, but he actually
Right.
does better off the dribble. So I I don't know what to say again. My feelings for this series have not changed from what it was before. I think the Knicks are better than the Heat, but the Knicks have to play well. Like they can't. I need all my guys, all the Knicks guys to play well. Manuel quickly. You were almost six man of the year. You have been ghost. This is an easy matchup for him. There's nobody
Mhm.
that can guard this guy. He's been playing terrible. Quentin Grimes. You scored 20 some points against these guys twice in the regular season. You've gotten 3 points in 2 games, like total. Like what are we doing? You know, I need
Oh,
those
Obi
guys.
Toppin.
Yeah, Obi Toppin, who it's okay. He kind of, Tibbs is giving him interesting minutes, so I'm not really mad. But Obi Toppin played well game one. Like he
Yeah,
actually played
they
pretty
played
well.
10 minutes last game. The last game.
Yep. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So I think, as long as those guys play well, then I think we have a chance. Jimmy Butler. We haven't had a Jimmy Butler game, but I don't expect Jimmy Butler to score 45 points against the Knicks. I don't see that happening. We won't
Mm.
allow that. But I I I I I do think this is going to be a long series still. It's 1-1. I assume we're going to I hope we split. I assume we're going to split. But to me, the way the Knicks are going to win this series is game 3. It is tomorrow. They got to win game 3. Not because I don't think they could win game 4 and 5 or whatever. It's just I know my team. They got to win game 3. Because mentally they'll start to think about the Hawks series where they lost game 3 and then they try to win game 4, they didn't, and then we're done. So they got to win game 3 to keep their confidence going so that we can win the series. And I really think we can. I really think we can, but it's going to be hard. The Heat are the toughest team, well coached team that's left in this playoffs. They're not saying they're the best team. They're the toughest and the best coached team left in the playoffs. And you're going to have to beat them as Boston. You are going to have to beat them. They won't beat themselves,
Mhm.
you know? So that'll be it. Um, all right, man. So that's my thoughts. So Thomas, what are your thoughts on the Knicks? I probably talked enough
Go-
about it.
Yeah, I'll just say I hope the Knicks win.
Mhm.
Just because you like the Knicks and a lot of my friends are Knicks fans, but I want to see Boston and New York. Wouldn't that be a great
Oof,
finals? Eastern Conference
oof.
final.
Yeah,
It would be. I would love to be in New York for that.
yeah, I know, man.
And then I would have to root for the Knicks. I'm a Rockets fan, but I'm still going to support the Knicks because I can't stand anything in the New England area.
I
So,
agree.
but listen, it's an interesting series. The Knicks, to your point, the bench is going to be key, especially guards. Grime
Hmm.
quickly, got to play.
Hmm.
Um, Jimmy's going to go off at least 2 games, so how do you combat that, right? And then I really think Hart is the key because he's one of those guys that
Hmm.
can score, play good defense, hit shots. But here's the interesting thing: the next bench got to hit some threes. They didn't even hit three last game, right?
I know. I know.
Not one with
I know.
one three. So
Right.
Toppin only
And there are
played
the
ten
three guys,
minutes.
and it's like three guys that can the guys that they now on the bench because Grimes is not starting. The three guys that can shoot really well are on the bench. That's why, to your point, Toppin, who hits threes quickly, and Grimes, and they all can't make a three. So it's
Yeah,
tough.
hit 1 3, then you probably gonna you win that you probably would have won that game last week
Yeah,
or yeah
game one.
in the
Yeah,
last game, game
yeah,
one.
yeah,
So it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna be an interesting series. I'm rooting for the Knicks. So we'll see what happens.
yeah. And shout out to RJ Barrett. Okay, shout out to
Oh yeah,
RJ
yeah.
Barrett, and I'm hoping I'm gonna be sending this to some people that know themselves very well. They might be very close to me. They might have my blood. Okay,
Uh,
who do not like RJ Barrett. And I've been talking about him like, look, he's young. People forget. They think he's old. He's young still. He's like 22 years old. Like, what are we talking about?
what?
Right? So he's 22
Um,
and he's been balling. I mean, first game 1 and 2 in the Cleveland series was terrible, but the last 5 games he's averaging like 24 points a game. That's it's pretty good. Like you can't be mad at him. Now
Right,
he's
right,
made
right.
some mistakes, but 24 points a game. I mean, he's been carrying. He carrying us in certain stretches,
Right.
carrying. So, and I knew, by the way, and I said this last week. I knew he'd have a good series against Miami. Like he plays well against Miami. It's actually a perfect matchup. They want to press up on you, and he likes the physicality and goes by.
Right.
If people were to give him room, actually, he struggles. And they also
Right.
don't have size underneath. So that's another thing.
Wouldn't it be great that he made it to the conference final? Ja hasn't made it, or I mean Zion hasn't made it. So the top
Yep.
three picks.
Yep. And everyone's like,
So
oh, we should. And no, I'm not saying I wouldn't want John Moran over RJ.
or
However,
Zion. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
but all the people that everyone loves, he just beat Darius Garland. Zion has played no games, and John Morant out in the first round. So let's go, RJ Barrett. I'm pulling for you. So, anyways, that is the playoffs for the NBA, and continue watching it. These are all game threes starting Saturday. Great series. I think these are just intriguing. I mean, conference finals are going to be good, but I actually think the semis are going to be better than the finals, the conference finals, in my
Oh,
opinion.
yeah.
So
Especially Denver. If it's Denver, Golden State, and then New York and Boston, I
well,
mean
that would be pretty good. That would be
that's what the
pretty.
NBA would want. You
Yeah,
know.
Even Miami, Boston. I mean, Miami. You saw last season that game. That's 7 game series. I mean, one short, just barely an inch off for Miami being in the finals, and I think if they play Boston would remember I said that if that was the matchup, I thought Miami was going to play Boston to 7 games in the first round if they
Right.
would have actually had the original format. So, but
Right.
hopefully it's Knicks, and then actually I like the Knicks matchup against Boston, but I might be delusional. All right. So, final thoughts. I'll start actually on the final thought
Yeah.
because we're talking about basketball. So my final thought is basketball related, and it has to do with the Milwaukee Bucks and Mike Budenholzer. So the Milwaukee Bucks were the number 1 seed, and Mike Budenholzer is their head coach, and he was just recently fired. And so I've been hearing things like, man, you're gonna fire the coach because you lost in the first round when Giannis was hurt? Like,
Right.
how's it at his fault? And I said, hold on. And this is why I want this to be my final thought. You guys are looking at this in a micro level. If you look at Mike Budenholzer's playoff record as a whole, you will see one outlier, and that's the championship. All other years, not only Milwaukee, but Atlanta, they have one of the best regular season. He has one of the best regular season coaches probably in the history of the NBA. It's like 60, was it 68% winning percent or something crazy. Postseason though, trash. The Hawks,
Yeah.
remember they were like won 60 something games, got swept by the Cavs, the Bucks for years. Remember they were number 1 seed. They couldn't beat
Oh yeah.
Toronto.
Yeah.
They lost to Boston. They got swept in the bubble. People forget that. I'm like, that's the same Budenholzer, same coach. Outlier, they won the championship, but there was a lot of things. KD's foot on the line, all these other things that had happened that got them to the win. And now what happened the last 2 years? They did not win. And this year, I don't care if you have, they had Giannis for 2 games and they lost both of those games. And it was his coaching. He is the worst coach I've ever seen in terms of adjustments. They lose game one
Mhm.
every single series. It doesn't matter who they're playing. They could be playing St. Mary's School of the Blind. They're losing game one because he's like, I don't really care. I'm not game planning for. He clearly doesn't game plan for the team that he's playing. He just goes out there and is like, we're just going to do whatever. And then they lose and then they have to adjust and they have to claw their way back. Like, what are you doing? This is NBA. It's the playoffs. You don't got time to just throw away games. And that's why they lost that series because they shouldn't have lost game one. And once they
Right.
lost game one, they were trailing and behind, and then everything else, was terrible. So Budenholzer, I think he should get another job, but he needs to revisit. He needs to go to like Ty Lue's school of coaching or Steve Kerr's school of coaching. Like, I'm doing whatever I need to do to win this game. I don't really care about what I've done. They had the most deep roster in the NBA, and he didn't play players. He did not adjust. So Budenholzer, sorry you got fired, but it was deserved, and
Right.
I call that too. He needed to go. So, anyway, that's my final thought on that.
Okay.
What's yourself?
Well, I mean, it is Mike Brutenhoser. I don't think should have got fired. I agree with you.
I think he should have got
But
fired.
again, oh no, I'm sorry, no. I mean, he should have got fired. What am I supposed? I agree with you. He should have got fired.
Mhm.
But again, with Atlanta, he kind of reminds me of Mike McCarthy. Honestly, he got one ring,
Mm,
but from a coaching point of view, right?
yeah,
So
that's a
talent, but doesn't know
great
how to do.
analogy. Great analogy
All
right
right.
there. Yep, he's
Yeah.
Mike
So he
McCarthy of
reminds me.
basketball.
That's Yeah, it's Mike McCarthy. Bad. You got some of the talent. Just I don't know. Sometimes I don't forget that he even coaches. I'm like, because you got assistants standing up. Sometimes I don't know
Yeah.
who your coach is, but uh, um, but we'll see what the Bucks do. All right. So my final thoughts. I'm gonna go to the NFL. I know it's May and we're talking about NFL, but I gotta get this off my chest. It's gonna be about Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so the Packers, I think they did well with the picks they got, potentially a swap, a second round, which is basically a first round pick. I mean, the second round was a high pick, and then they'll
Mhm.
get unless the man gets hurt, he doesn't really get hurt like that. So 65 games, they'll get a first round pick, right? So Aaron Rodgers, the players are starstruck. Oh my, Sauce Gardner, Adam Zar. I mean, this guy is like the celebrity coming in. You
Garrett
know,
Wilson. Yeah.
Garrett Wilson. I mean, everybody in New York media is in awe. I mean, right? You know who he reminds me of? Have you guys watched Ted Lasso in season 3? That's
Yes.
Zarva. Okay, Zarva
Sorry.
coming coming into the game and winning the games and everything was like that. But what happened? He quit in the middle of the season. So, guys, I get Aaron Rodgers is that Madison Square Garden on the sidelines, right, with Sauce and Amazar and Garrett Wilson hanging out, and Jessica Alba is like, oh, so excited to see them on the sidelines and having fun. And he got his motion picture that he has throwing the ball, and it's Meg throwing the ball in mini camp and everything like that. Let me tell you about Aaron Rodgers, folks. Okay. Aaron Rodgers is not a good teammate. Okay. I don't care what people say. Everyone's like, oh, he's a great teammate. He's not a good team. Even Greg Jennings, I watch him on first things first.
Hmm.
When he gets that question, he's cold, but you can see he doesn't want to say what he really wants to say. James Jones. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is good, but behind the scenes, he's not. He's Zarva, right? It's all about him, the Zen, and all that other stuff. What's going to happen? The honeymoon will over. I mark it right now on this day. The Jets are they won't make the playoffs. That's my prediction right now. They're not going
Wow.
to make the playoffs. They'll be 8-9, 7-10. Okay, the Jets are not there.
Wow.
Everyone thinks that the Jets are going to make the playoffs. I actually was doing more research. I thought they were. The more and more research I've done, I'm like, if Miami Tua plays, they're not good. They're not better than Miami. They're not. They're not better than Bills, right? So Jacksonville is going to win. That is going to win. Do well in the AFC North. Pittsburgh got better. The Ravens, Cincinnati, and Cleveland, which I don't understand why people are forgetting about Cleveland.
Yeah.
Then the best conference in football is AFC West, right? So
Yeah.
with Sean Payton being there, and then they're Kellen Moore, which I think is going to be a good acquisition for the Chargers, right?
Yeah.
So you got a lot of football, and then they have one. They're playing 10 out of 17 games are being played against playoff teams. 10 out of 17 are against playoff teams, which means you have to come 7 out of 3 to make the playoffs, right? And because you got to make some wins over there, right?
Hmm.
So what's going to happen? Market right now, they're going to be like 3-5, and the media is going to run over Aaron Rodgers. He's going to start fighting with his players. He's going to do that thing when he throws the ball to Garrett Wilson, draw a buzz. He's going to be like, "Why aren't you catching the ball?" Putting his hat down with his long hair, with his Nicolas Cage freaking white beater shirt on, his jeans. So guys, it's great to see that he does that, but Aaron Rodgers always does this. He always, for some reason, in the middle of the season, I don't know why, the teammates, they don't get along. There's some friction that happens. It happens
Hmm.
all the time.
Hmm.
You know why we know that? Because why would Devontae Smith go from a Super Bowl contending team to the damn Raiders for the same money? Like, let's just call a
Mm.
fact a fact. Why
Mm.
would he? He literally got the same deal mean, I think they might actually give him a little sweet in the deal from but no one knows because it's all hearsay. But it was reported. The report was out that he had the same offer. He even said it, the same offer. So you trying to tell me you want to play with Derek Carr over Aaron Rodgers? I don't give a damn how your friendship is. In this sport, you want to win rings, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
look, come on.
yeah.
So just trying out there. So New York Jets fans, don't get your hopes up. He's gonna fail you. He's Zarva from Ted Lasso. Okay, he is. All right.
That's funny.
So
I
that's my
I
final thoughts.
that's the bold one. I can't really argue with him because with you, he's a bad teammate, and he's a diva, and he's a great player, but the, people act like they won like 10 game, 20 games last year or 13 games last year. They lost to the Lions at home at the chance to get in the playoffs at home. This
Right,
is,
right.
and they were 4-8 at one point last year. Like, what are we talking about? So I think yes, he's better than the quarterbacks they had, so that will help. But the thing about the NFL that people don't get is every year is different. And
Right.
you can't just go off last year and be like, this is going to happen this year. I mean, only team that you can kind of do that with is like the Chiefs. I mean, the Rams won the Super Bowl and then they were top five pick the next year. So,
Yeah.
in terms of draft capital, I mean, of course, the Lions had their pick, top six.
Well,
So,
the AFC East plays the NFC East
mhm.
and the AFC West, bro. I mean, that's
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
but
no.
go ahead. I mean, I was looking at that. Shit, the Bills are gonna have a tough time. It was the whole series, but yeah, but but but
So yeah,
um,
yeah, we'll see. But I think I like that final thought. So anyway, all right, everybody. Thanks for another episode, Thomas. It was a good one. Had a lot to say, a lot to cover. Enjoy the NBA playoffs. They're exciting. Go Knicks. If you're not a Knicks fan, then just root for the Knicks anyway, because we need the help we can get. And hopefully I get to go to game 5. I'm thinking about it, so we'll see. All right.
in New York.
Yeah, New York.
Yep.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah. Of
about thinking
course.
about it.
Yeah. Yeah, Miami would be nice being South Beach, but I get it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I can't do that this weekend. Unfortunately, if it was next weekend, I would consider it, but not this one. All right.
All right.
Well, have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you all later.
Take care.
Bye.